I'm Drew. I'm with Commissioner Nicole Wilson's office. We also have Alexis and Susie here from our office. So you're here either because you got a notice in the mail or online about this meeting. The Commissioner Wilson sort of called for this meeting because when this case came to the board, there was still a lot of confusion and a lot of mixed messaging about what was going on with this application. So we just wanted to get it sort of in front of the public, get a presentation, and try to sort of get in front of any issues that might rise up. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan O'Keefe, if he's still in here. There you go. Oh, cool. He figured out the lights too. Okay.
Walking out the door.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming out to the community meeting tonight. My name is Dan O'Keefe. I'm a real estate attorney at Schutz & Bowen here on behalf of the applicant. We have a short PowerPoint presentation to kind of summarize the request that we have for a boat ramp at Sand Lake Sound, and we have some representatives from the applicant and our team, including our environmental engineers that are here this evening. So with that, I'll go through this PowerPoint that gives some graphics and shows what the application is, and then we'll also be available to answer any questions that you might have. This is a sketch of the conceptual boat ramp. It shows the proximity of the tract that was a common area tract on the plat for Sand Lake Sound. Last year, it was replatted to be called a recreation/boat ramp tract, and I think that was approved in March of 2024. Let's go to the next one that has the aerial. Okay, here you see the aerial with the subdivision and the homes constructed, the existing cul-de-sac on the common area tract. There's a lift station sort of sticking out to the north, and then it shows the drive to the proposed boat ramp and the location of the floating boat ramp there. Let's go through to the next one. We back up a little bit and we show you the overall community that is constructed out there. We've got 77 single-family homes. 60 of those are lake access homes, and then there's 106 townhouses that you can see clustered on the eastern portion of the community.
When you say lake access, which lake?
That is both. You can see from, go back one if you can, Gabe. That shows both the ones on the northern portion that are on Little Sand Lake and the ones on the southern portion that are on Big Sand Lake. So I don't have a count for it, but it's, looks like a little bit more on Big Sand Lake than Little Sand Lake, but pretty close to half and half. Go forward to the next slide. Okay, so the approval process has been going on for a while. We've had multiple RAIs, which are requests for additional information, to go from the county staff, where they take the application that's submitted, then they ask you for questions or clarifications or additional data to support the application. We've gone through that process. We have completed the replat of this tract from Common Tract 1 to Tract 1A recreation/boat ramp. As we go through this process with the county, if we receive the approval from Orange County on this approval for the boat ramp, we would still need to get approval from both the Army Corps of Engineers and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Those are separate processes, separate from the county, and they would come after an approval if an approval is granted by the Board of County Commissioners. Next step, operation of the boat ramp. So this is, the proposed boat ramp would only be open to residents of this gated community, and it would only be open from dawn to dusk. It is, as stated, a gated community. not solicited for revenue. You can't buy into a membership to use the boat ramp if you're outside. It's simply for those 77 single-family homes and 106 townhomes to use. The members in this community do pay into the Sand Lake MSTU, which is a county municipal service taxing unit that benefits the Sand Lake, both lakes there. And also what is proposed is a floating dock that is illustrated there. So that shows where it would be and what that would look like if it was approved and constructed.
Does that floating dock have a floating boat ramp that you can lower boats in?
I'm sorry, can you go back to that sketch? So there would be alongside the boat, alongside the floating dock, there would be a ramp, and that is the subject of this request, is the ramp. So you would have the ramp and then the floating dock next to it.
So that big white thing where the red is to the right is pretty much the ramp, right?
Yeah, you can see the concrete
It's
boat
the
ramp.
red, the red.
Yeah, the red. Yeah.
The red is the ramp going into the lake, or is
Yes,
white?
that's the-
Well, I think we've got, on the north side of it is the concrete boat ramp, and it shows that it's 12 by 7. Go ahead, Gabe.
So this is the concrete boat ramp. This is a floating dock that's going to be parallel to the concrete boat ramp. This is just the dredging parameters.
But they're the same color, right?
They are.
You got floating concrete,
Yeah. So one is the ramp and one is the dock, and they aren't very well distinguished there. Sorry about that. Okay, next slide. Okay, it's going back to that. We'll go through just a few more details on the approval process here with EPD, which is the County Environmental Protection Department, requested a replat to identify the tract as recreation/boat ramp. That replat was taken through the process. It went to the Board of County Commissioners. It was approved in March and recorded March 6, 2024. Then EPD evaluated the application and went through the county code and determined that the application meets all of the criteria of the county code, and therefore they recommend approval of the boat ramp as being in conformance with the requirements regarding approval and construction of a boat ramp. That's it on our presentation. It's pretty straightforward, pretty minimal, and I've got the team here and myself to answer any questions you might have.
So when the project the development was originally approved, was the boat ramp ever part of that discussion?
So when the project was originally approved, I think it was back in 2018, I was involved in that point also. And I think at the time, the developer was hopeful that they would be able to get rights to use an existing boat ramp on the chain of lakes, and that they wouldn't have to construct their own boat ramp because they're expensive to construct. And they did pursue that, and they weren't able to reach an agreement. Oh,
That's not connected to Chain Lakes.
pardon me?
That's not connected to Chain Lakes.
Well, I'm saying the Sand Lake chain of lakes, Big Sand Lake and Little Sand Lake.
Little Sand Lake is not a part of the chain.
Okay.
There's a dam there, and it's not supposed to be a navigable waterway. And so one of my questions.
Well, they're hydraulically connected. They're not navigably connected, I think is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. But from a hydrology standpoint, they're
So may
connected.
I ask this question? Your boat ramp is on Little Sand Lake.
It is,
Yes. Your boat ramp proposal is on Little Sand Lake.
Correct?
So that will help those homeowners that back up to Little Sand Lake.
Correct.
What are you doing for the homeowners on Big Sand Lake?
But they can't build two boat ramps, and we've got about half of the lots on one and half the lots on the other,
Right.
and so they're proposing one boat ramp.
And so how do those people on Big Sand Lake get their boats over there?
Gabe, they can't. I mean, they
Are they
don't.
gonna dredge it deeper or do
No.
something to connect the lakes better?
It's already being done,
Oh,
sir.
okay, okay.
Yeah, it is already.
It's already being done. It's already being dredged.
I'm not sure where that comes from, but the applicant is not proposing or
Trying to-
conducting dredging of a canal.
It's gonna go to the natural levels of whatever the natural levels are, and if they're
Yes.
navigable, it'll be navigable, if it's lower, you can.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get a jet ski through there or a paddleboard, you know.
And jet skis
Yeah.
sometimes, depending on the level of the lake, when the water level's higher.
But your permit application specifically denies you the ability to dredge that. Am I right?
Yeah, we're not asking for anything to dredge a canal at this point.
Hasn't the county even said, if approved, they will not allow you to dredge that?
I have not had any communications regarding dredging of the canal.
Really quick, also, like before we get further into Q&A, we do have a couple members of Orange County's Environmental Protection Division here, so they might be.
Good.
Yeah, so if there are any questions that are specifically, if we can raise our hand, and then if there's any questions that aren't of the applicant or our team, but of the county, we certainly have a number of people that are here from the Commissioner's Office and from Orange County EPD. Any other questions for the applicant or our team? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question, I'm trying to get my orientation. So the development that's going in, where's the access road to get in? Where's it in that space?
Okay, if you can go back, Gabe, let's go to
Turkey Lake Road.
to the item that is the most pulled out. But yeah, the access to this gated community is off of Turkey Lake Road. There's two access points, one just south of Sand Lake Road and one, I don't know, a quarter mile south of that. And it is off of this sketch, but that's where you access this community.
I live in Viscaya, and define lake access to us, what does that really mean? That it gives that homeowner the ability to do something that we should know, or no
So-
lake access?
Yeah, okay, so when that says 60 lots with lake access, those are 60 lots that you can see that abut that are lakefront. I really should say probably lakefront instead of lake
So
access.
access doesn't mean you can do things.
They can walk down to the lake right now and they can use it. I know there are, on Big Sand Lake, there are a few of those lots that have docks now already, but it really probably should say lakefront. There's
Correct,
60
okay.
lakefront lots there.
Okay, because we have some lake access and we have some in the common area like you have.
Yeah.
And it's different, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yes, sir.
But 100% of the homes, townhomes, et cetera, would have access to this ramp. If I have a boat and I'm not on the water, I have access to this ramp, correct?
If you're, yeah, so all of those homes in that gated
So
community,
we're
yes,
not
sir.
just opening it up to lakefront, we're opening it up to the whole development, correct?
Correct. Anybody in that community could use the boat ramp. Yeah. Which I think, there's a lot of lakes and communities in West Orange that have similar arrangements. I've lived in one for a really long time, and you could trail your boat down there and use
What's
it.
gonna be the requirement of parking trailers and trucks and so on? That's always a problem.
But, Gabe, that's an internal HOA.
So we don't.
Why don't you come up here and speak with the microphone to make sure everybody can hear you?
Because
And first of all, introduce and tell them.
even in Viscaya, we have the issue where were they gonna put the trucks and the trailers? And they say they were gonna take it back to the homes and lease it and blah, blah, blah.
No
What about
problem.
that?
My name's Gabriel. I work for Marriage Homes. So our HOA is really strict on parking. They won't let any boats in the driveways. There's not enough room to put. I mean, it's really hard to get a boat in your garage. So it's very rare where we're gonna have the townhome owners have a boat. And if they do, it's probably gonna be stored off site. Then they have to put in the water, take it out of the water that same day because they don't have a dock or anything. And then store it back.
Parking at the rate,
Yeah, there's.
right, they've got it.
Oh, I mean, there's.
Right.
Okay.
And most of the boats seem to be kayaks right now, not motorized. Most of them that seem to be down there in that area right now. Correct.
Correct, but so there will be no provided parking spots or areas
They
within
kind of store
the
the
traffic.
kayaks and
So there's no provided parking at the boat. Once they launch the boat, they have to take the trailer back home.
Yeah, which I think is pretty common in most of the HOAs that have a HOA boat ramp because it becomes a mess if you start parking them there.
stuff. Would those owners be able to moor their boat off of the shoreline of their unit? We have one owner in our neighborhood does that, and I didn't know what the rules were on
I defer to the county on that.
that. Okay.
Okay, I think there was a specific question about, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was if somebody didn't have a dock but wanted to just moor their boat on their lakefront area, would they be allowed to do that?
We have one boat that's doing it in our lake, and we're being told by our past president that it's not allowed. But, you know,
I think this gentleman stated that he was from Vizcaya and someone was doing it over there.
and you're right next door. Learn.
Yeah.
Okay, so Liz Johnson, Assistant Manager, EPD. I remember that issue had come through to our Big Sand Lake Advisory Board liaison, and we worked with the Sheriff's Office, and we were told that as long as it's properly moored and anchored, not to a buoy. Oh, it can't be to like a piling, a navigational piling or a navigational buoy. It is not illegal, with the caveat that it cannot have live aboard facilities in sovereign water bodies.
So you can have a toilet type thing.
Correct,
Yeah.
right.
So, hi, Melissa Levine, Orange County PD. If it is just moored and it's not used for living quarters, then there's a specific valve if it does have a lavatory on it that you need to change the valve so it does not discharge any waste into the water.
Would that be all dealing with the covenants in the neighborhood that tell you whether you can moor it or not? Or is that a county, state, requirement in the county?
I'm not aware of any of the HOA rules, but that was in conversations with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Marine Patrol.
So they're able to do that, moor it and put it there as long as there's no permanent structure in the water.
On sovereignty submerged lands.
Right.
So if it's an SSL, which Little Sand is, yes, okay. Then that's my understanding, yes. And if there's ever a concern, you can always reach out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Marine Patrol,
Okay,
and they can investigate.
thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, ma'am?
Is the ramp gonna be gated,
Is the ramp going to be gated?
separate gate for area for some?
No, just the gate for the subdivision.
At the entrance.
Yes, sir.
I have a question with EPA, is the area between the two lakes, Big Sand Lake and Little Sand Lake, is that considered a protected wetland?
Just. Staff is conferring to answer your question accurately.
Okay, so the debate was that there are conservation easements on both the Sand Lake Sound side and the Vizcaya side. We were discussing how far do the conservation easements extend into the canal. The answer is we don't think they extend into the canal, but that doesn't mean that it's not a regulated wetland or surface water. So in other words, if somebody were to be performing vegetation removal, dredging, clearing, altering, they would need a permit from Orange County.
Okay, well, somebody's doing it now, do you know if it's got a permit for that?
Right, we are aware that there is a boat in the, what looks like to be the channel. And if you look at historic aerials, the reason why the boat looks like it's in the water is because the water is high.
No, I'm not talking about the boat being there. I was there this weekend.
Okay.
I took pictures. There's obvious clearing
Okay.
that's being done between the two lakes.
Mhm.
So I want to know who's going to address that from the EPA.
Is it, is,
You need to get a boat and go look at it.
okay.
It's
all right.
obvious.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's a county enforcement issue, I think. Yes, sir?
So, we're talking about a boat ramp permit here, but I think there's also a conservation area impact permit.
That is correct.
Are we gonna talk about that if there's that?
Well, so the conservation area impact application, there's an existing conservation area impact permit that was issued in conjunction with the original development of this community. And there is a application to modify that conservation area impact, the CAI. And the application is, in order to build a boat ramp, you need the approval from the county commission to have a boat ramp. And then you need a permit. And the CAI is the permit that would allow you to actually construct the boat ramp. The CAI application normally doesn't require a community meeting, but we're happy to address it as we go through this boat ramp community meeting. And so the application that would be heard at the same Board of County Commissioner hearing that would hear the application for the boat ramp would also consider the CAI permit. They are permitting, or they are requesting a 0.049 acre impact on the wetlands or the class 1 water body. So that is less than 1/2 of 1/10 of an acre of impact in order to clear and construct the boat ramp and then have a 12-foot clearing or channel for that boat ramp. And that would go to the BCC in conjunction at the same time, at the same public hearing as this application for the boat ramp. From the county.
I just also wanted to clarify, you'll see a second CAI. You see a second CAI on the agenda. I don't know if Dan might give you the mic back to explain. There's a second CAI that you'll see being heard concurrently with the first CAI, which, as Dan explained, that CAI is tied to the boat ramp and the shoreline impacts associated with constructing a boat ramp. There was a subdivision, there was a CAI issued for the subdivision that had a condition that prohibited boat ramps in the 3 lakes that the subdivision touches. They have submitted a request to modify that condition to allow for a boat ramp on Little Sand Lake, subject to the permitting process within the tract that's shown here. So that'll also be considered by the Board of County Commissioners to modify that subdivision CAI. And just want to let you know, you would see that also listed on the BCC meeting agenda. Oh, CAI is a Conservation Area Impact Permit. CAI.
Do we have a date that's going?
February 25th is the date for the Board of County Commissioners, and the public hearing starts, all the public hearings start at 2 o'clock. And so we don't have a time certain for when this item would come up, but it would be in the afternoon during the 2 o'clock BCC meeting.
And also, sorry, I'll say really quickly, because those meetings are, they're on Tuesday afternoons. Most people can't make it to those, but so it's a 7-person board. So if you have feedback or an opinion on this and you want to send it to anyone voting on this, the emails are really simple. It's just mayor@ocfl.net and then district1@ocfl.net all the way down through 6. Because you have your district commissioner, but it's just 1 out of the 7 votes. So any feedback that you want to give prior to that February date, that would be the place to go with it.
And what date was that again?
February 25th, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
And your district commissioner is District 1, Nicole Wilson. And just two representatives here this evening. And then it's 1 through 6 plus the mayor.
Yeah. So mayor at ocfl.net, and then district 1 at ocfl.net, all the way down through district 6.
District and then number 1, right?
Yes, and then number, all the way down, so district 2, district 3, district 4, you can copy them all in the same email if you want to. That happens a lot. We usually recommend against using like a form email that's the exact same thing that everyone else is sending, because then they might just, they might just feel like it's coming from one source. But if you're trying to connect with the board that, hey, we have feedback on this, that's the way to do it.
Yes, sir.
What's the impact of additional votes to the current state of the lake, which is probably the worst that I've seen in 25 years? I mean, the water level hasn't changed materially with this outfall. It doesn't seem to be working at all. I went down to the boat ramp today. The water looks worse than I've seen it. We had an advisory at one point. I don't know if it's still in effect. So my question is, we're talking about additional boat traffic, not to mention the property damage to docks, et cetera. My dock is long gone, so I'm more concerned about the quality of the water and the environment and
So-
the impact of this.
All right, I'll address that. So, with regard to, I know that Big Sand Lake, Little Sand Lake have had a lot of problems with water levels for sure, and that's been going on for 20 years, and I think there's a myriad of reasons for that, and I think you're right there. Everybody was hopeful that when the outfall got cleared, it was going to make a big difference, and it hasn't. And really, throughout the system, including at Disney and the Butler chain, the water levels have stayed really, really high. Now we're sort of at the peak of dry season, and they're still really high, so it is concerning. This obviously won't have any impact on the water level. As to water quality, there is a water quality requirement that during construction they have to do a water monitoring, and they have to set benchmarks before construction starts. Then every week they have to report to the county on all the agreed upon measurements of what they're doing, so that they're not impairing the water quality. And then, I'm not aware of any studies on the number of boats, but we think that the number of boats that'll be using this boat ramp and also recreating on the lakes is not going to have any measurable impact on the water quality. We have no data to indicate otherwise. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
This development's already complete, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why now are we doing this, and who's paying for it?
So the HOA is the applicant, and they're paying for it, and why? Meritage is paying for it. Okay, I'm sorry. Meritage, which was the original developer, is paying for it. And I think it's because at the beginning, like I said, I think they thought they were going to be able to negotiate a deal with one of the existing boat ramps. They thought that very few of the residents were going to be utilizing this on a regular basis. And then when that didn't come to fruition, they wanted to have a boat ramp available for the community, and this is the time that they're pursuing it. And they've been pursuing it for, it's been a long process with the county. So I think people are anxious to get it. The people in the community are anxious to get this. They've been talking about it and hearing about it for a long time. There's a lot of support within the community, understandably, but that's why it wasn't done originally and why they're doing it today.
So it sounds.
Yes, sir.
So why is the builder, it sounds like the builder, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the builder is liable right now to provide lake or some type of boat ramp access to this community. Is there a level of liability there?
So the question is the builder liable for providing some level of access? And the answer is no. They do not have any legal or contractual obligations to do this, but that was envisioned that these lakefront owners would be able to recreate on the lake, and they're trying to deliver on that.
And how many years ago was this development built? I'm new to the area, I'm sorry.
I think the original approvals were in 2018, which means home sales probably started in 19.
Yeah, right,
ramp?
Mm-hmm.
And
No, there were no assurances or promises at all because they didn't have that locked in. They are a responsible home builder.
Or y'all denied
No,
the ramp?
No.
Didn't apply for it before?
no, they wanted, like I said, they wanted to have a shared ramp with another community in the area and thought that that would be the way to do it. And that didn't work. Yeah, and
I was told 30 years ago when I bought on the lake that Dr. Phillips Corporation Foundation only wanted the ramps that were on the lake, no more. That's why they were not approved for Westgate or any of the other surrounding.
there's no legal documentation or precedent to establish that. I don't know where that came from.
From a lawsuit.
I don't think it did because I was involved in it in 2018 and it wasn't. We had a question over here. Yes.
When I bought a house, I was told that there will be ramp. Before ramp will be finished, we can use enable ramp. That's what I've been told when I buy a house.
So you want the houses that's in the.
Yeah, that is
Oh, so you were promised that there would be a ramp
yeah.
by Meritage Homes?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and if that representation was made, I'm sorry, it was inaccurate and it shouldn't have been. And I think that was a rare exception as opposed to the rule.
I was the first one in this community.
First one down in the community.
January.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been waiting for this for 5 years.
Okay. Well, let's try to get there.
Long time.
So why would the builder want to spend all this money putting a boat ramp? They just couldn't wait
Because they promised it.
Gabriel? Yeah, I think they're trying to have happy buyers and happy homeowners that are.
At the cost of what? Happy buyers at millions of dollars? Come
It's,
on.
it's not millions of dollars to build a boat ramp, sir.
How much is it gonna cost?
$180,000.
Okay, so they're doing that so they can.
Okay. Listen, we're here not just to, debate and throw out opinions, but if you have questions, we're happy to answer them.
Right.
Yes, sir, in the back.
I do have a question. I don't have the number, but I do have background information that said there was a CAI permit in 2017 related to this. And item number 15, I don't have the CAI in front of me, or the number, because that's a question. I have to look this one up. But item number 15 stated, quote, "No community ramps are permitted on Little Sand Lake, Big Sand Lake, or Lake Marine."
Which is an accurate, so a CAI is a permit. It's not a land use approval, but it's a permit. The CAI that was processed was a permit to build the subdivision as it was requested. At the time, there was no boat ramp approved. And so the permit would not authorize construction of a boat ramp. Both the PSP, which is the preliminary site plan approval, and the plat also contained conditions that said these approvals do not approve any boat dock construction or any boat ramp construction. And in order to get a boat ramp construction or a boat dock construction, you have to go through Orange County Chapter 15 EPD requirements and go through the code. At this time, this is what the applicant is requesting to do. Staff has reviewed that application. They've confirmed that the applicant has met all of the legal requirements in the Orange County Code. There's a staff recommendation for approval, and that's why we're here tonight.
So before we head out, just to get sort of a general sense, how many of you live in the community that's pictured? Okay. And then how many live in a nearby community or one on Big Sand Lake?
We're nearby, we're in Viscaya next door.
Okay. How many Viscaya specifically? Okay, got it. Yeah, so that gives a good, sense of the population here, but, okay. So if there aren't any more questions, are there any more questions? We'll still be here afterward, our staff. We have contact info. This is all going to be sent out in one of our newsletters before that BCC meeting. There's gonna be one in between, but if you're on the sign-in sheet, if you signed in over there, I'll be sending out additional information about this case leading up to it. But yeah, please let us know if you have anything else. Thank you.